We get requests from viewers like you on special topics. One of our viewers asked, how do you support siblings in a special needs family? We've got 5 ways you can do that. Some of you have asked us to address this topic, which is kind of a tricky one.
Right, and it's near and dear to my heart because I have several family members with kids with special needs.
Right. We have a niece and a nephew who are in that category, and so 2 families within our extended family are dealing with this. And the siblings sometimes get overlooked.
Yeah, and I don't think we appreciate how much it affects their life, their childhood, etc.
Well, our niece has commented to us about this because her sister is the one with special needs. But she sometimes felt overlooked, or she was in the shadows, or not as important as this special needs child who consumes a lot of resources. Right. So that's the sense of why we're coming at this today. And some of you as viewers have asked us about this topic. How do I support the sibling? I think the first thing is that we create a culture where there's open communication.
Right.
We got to keep those lines of communication open.
Yeah, and I think it takes a little bit of extra effort. I thought reading the book Wonder was a great opener to this because...
There's a movie for that,
There is a movie. I like the book because, you know, in books we can kind of get behind what a character is thinking a little bit deeper.
Character development.
And it's the same story told from 3 perspectives, and one of those perspectives is the sibling. And I think that it really brings up some great issues that maybe I hadn't thought about, or maybe you hadn't thought about. So it's a good way to realize that there's quite a bit going on inside the sibling's head where they're trying to process and come to terms with the kind of the reality that when push comes to shove, because your sibling has special needs and can't take care of themselves and be responsible throughout, you know, it depends, of course, on the level of severity of their disability. But when push comes to shove, the parent is going to have to help that child because they don't have the resources to do it themselves. Even if that means sometimes the siblings' needs and wants have to be pushed aside for a time, sometimes for longer. And so I think that gives a really good introduction into the psyche and the thoughts of the sibling. Now remember, everybody is different. Every child is different. I've watched the families that I've dealt with, and everyone handles it a little differently.
Sure.
The kids handle it. There's personality differences. But just recognize that there is a whole world that they're having to come to terms with, and kind of new rules. Rules that don't always apply to their friends will apply to them.
Exactly. This is why the communication is so important. In a culture within your family where this communication is open, we can talk about it. This gives a chance for you to connect with everyone in the family about how they're feeling. And I think we need to communicate that you're never wrong about how you feel. Right. Sometimes these siblings will start to feel like, I shouldn't feel put out. I shouldn't feel overlooked. Right. Well, they're never wrong about how they feel. There's reasons for it. So if they have a place where they can actually express that, and you as the parents are willing to hear it and be open to whatever they're experiencing, without trying to fix it necessarily, but just let them express it.
And I think you have to be really careful as a parent, not going to, guilt. Parenting and guilt.
Yeah.
It's huge, but
enough with the guilt and shame.
I know, but I think it's even bigger sometimes with a child with special needs. And so if you can get past the guilt enough that your child, the sibling, can talk to you openly and acknowledge the hard things and you acknowledge it back, even if you can't solve it or change it, being able to acknowledge it keeps those communications open.
Right. Obviously, one of the challenges with having a special needs child is that there's not as much focused one-on-one time with the other kids. Because of what you said earlier, Vicki, there's a demand on the resources of the parents. So the important factor here is to make sure that you create opportunities for that one-on-one time.
Right.
This is not always easy. In fact, it's probably never easy. Right? But we're not going for easy. We're going for what's helpful.
Right.
And what's going to create this culture in our family where that can happen. Take the time, employ the resources, whatever you need to do to create those opportunities. It will go a long way with those siblings who might be feeling a little starved for that attention.
Along with providing one-on-one time for each of the children, including the sibling, you also want to find a way to help spread the love, spread the care, spread the responsibility. I think it's really important to talk about ways that your child, the sibling, can help out with the child with special needs. Give them some responsibility, but not too much.
There's a practical side to this too, Vicki, because it does demand a lot of resources. So we need to share the load. We need to share the love, as you said, to spread it out. It gives a sense of importance and inclusion for a sibling to have some kind of special responsibility.
Right.
We have to balance this out because we don't want to overburden them.
Exactly. And I think every situation is going to be different, and it's probably going to change up and down throughout the lifestyle and the busyness of the child.
It's not just within the family either, where we're going to share the love. Because of the demands that are there, it's really a great idea to explore opportunities for respite care, for a break. I know some families feel a little guilty about this. It's like, this is what we've got, so we got to deal with it, and it's just what we have. And that's true. We're going to come back to that, actually. And as part of that picture, it's okay for you to explore resources. And Vicki, you and I have provided some of that respite care for our niece.
Explore it and ask for help, and then accept it when it's offered.
This could mean that we're going to take a family vacation. Normally, you're going to try to include everybody in the family, but let's say that you're doing a family vacation that is really not conducive to or appropriate for your child with special needs, but you really want to do it as a family. First of all, unplug the guilt and the shame for that. That's totally fine. It's legitimate. You have our permission to do this. And to do it, you're going to need some help with your special needs child while you're going off and doing some things with everybody else. And that's what I'm talking about with respite care.
Right.
It's not easy. It's not always cheap. There are resources, so explore those and use them to the benefit of your family. This situation is what it is. This is exactly the situation that your family is dealing right now. And so you incorporate and you adjust.
I was thinking about this, that you can kind of make it a whole family endeavor, and you can have family. We've talked about family meetings. I think this is a super important time to have family councils. And I know one family that their special needs son, if he ever heard voices that were kind of upset, he would get upset. You could even be just joking around, but if you heard upset voices,
it triggered him.
You triggered. So their family just kind of learned to use very calm and a little bit quieter voices. So you could still say, "You are irritating me," but you just do it a little calmer, right?
Just
a little
say it
lower.
nicely.
Yeah, just because it would escalate him really fast. And so as a family, they just kind of learned how to change some of the ways that they interacted with each other and their voice levels that they used. And I think that's great. Just see, this is how we do it in our family. We don't yell.
This is who we are. This is how we roll.
Right.
And it becomes part of the family culture, Vicki, like you're describing here. It's also something that you can have a little bit of fun with, that people will start to identify you. I'm thinking about our nephew and the family culture that was created around his special needs. I look at his sisters and how much they love him and adore him and have fun with him. Because they've created that culture around, this is who we are.
Right.
This is how we roll. This is part of what defines our family. And that reminds me, Vicki, that everything we face as families is part of a greater context.
Definitely.
And it shapes who we are. I can't imagine that family that I was just referring to, you know who I'm talking about, without that element.
Right, exactly. And he is a part of the family. And the family has adjusted to having him be a part of the family. Just like we have with everyone. I guess it's just a little more obvious sometimes when somebody has special needs.
It's a more obvious opportunity to adjust and adapt.
Right.
It's who we are. It's how we roll.
Well, that kind of brings us to the obvious. Of course, we're going to talk about on this channel is be positive.
Oh, thank you, Vicki. We can't skip that one. It's the positivity that allows us to take the entire context and put it into something that's actually productive and healthy and adaptive, something that can elevate and lift your family instead of seeing it as something that is oppressive or something that you got cheated in life somehow. Having said that, we're going to unplug the guilt and the shame.
Right.
Okay? This is not happening because you deserve it. It's not happening because you did something wrong.
And it's even okay, whatever you're feeling. If you feel a little bit exhausted, tired, left out, there are things that probably you're going to have to adjust and perhaps pass up because of it.
As you were saying that,
okay.
Vicki, I'm thinking, you know what? That's
We
not
all
specific
are,
to
right.
this context.
Yeah.
Welcome to Earth.
Uh-huh.
Stuff happens.
Yeah.
And this is just one of those contexts. And if it happens to be yours, then embrace it and run with it. And take a positive attitude that allows you to not only see this as a great opportunity to create a family culture that's awesome and amazing, it's also an opportunity for you to create and move forward and learn and grow and develop. Whatever it is, it could be a special needs child or trying to support the siblings within that family. It could be any other variety of contexts. The principles still apply, and I think positivity is at the foundation of that. Of course I do. You may not have known that we have compiled a lot of resources for families like yours. Come over to the website, drpauljenkins.com, where you'll be able to connect with other conscious parents and get those personal development resources that you're looking for. There's some amazing things available. We welcome you.
Her head was down, face locked onto the phone. And I wished